Good evening, listeners, and welcome along to Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 24th of April 2026. And over the course of the next hour, we're going to be looking ahead to what is a massive weekend of sport for Tipperary teams and across the county in general. We're going to be looking ahead, of course, to Tipperary against Waterford in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship on Sunday, Tip against Cork in the Munster Senior Football semi-final tomorrow afternoon. We're going to hear from Tipperary Ladies Football Vice-Captain Laura Morrissey as they take on Cork in the first round of the Munster Championship tomorrow evening. Also look forward to the Tipperary Camogie team in the Munster semi-final on Sunday at 12 against Limerick. It is a busy weekend for Clonmel Rugby Club. They have the AIL Division 2C final. We'll hear from Joe Winston. We'll also hear from Brendan Cummins after the Tipperary under-20 hurlers had a real heartbreaking defeat on Wednesday evening against Clare, very late on in that game. And of course, Barry Drake will be running down on the weekend's Greyhound racing action towards the end of the show. And a mention as well to our sponsors, Premier Credit Union in Thurles, for sponsoring Across the Line here on Tip FM. So that's what we've got coming up. But let's start straight away with Tipperary against Waterford on Sunday. It's a game you can hear live on Tip FM with thanks to greenwaysolar.ie. And to look ahead to the game, I'm delighted to say I'm joined on the line now from the head of sport of the Nenagh Guardian, Shane Brophy. Shane, you're very welcome back to the show. Are you there, Shane?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I have you there now. Looking ahead to this game, Shane, before we look ahead, we're just, 5 days since the game against Cork. I'm just wondering your take on the game 5 days later. Did you kind of get to look back on it? Do you have any different thoughts from what maybe you were thinking walking out of Semple Stadium last Sunday?
Not particularly. I think I agree with probably a lot of the general consensus is that we just weren't to the pitch of it, whether it was we were overcooked or whether we were undercooked. And I suppose that was the one fear I had coming into the game, was that were we going to be ready? Because like our league compared to last year was so. Like, it wasn't a bad league, but we never saw a tip to probably close to anywhere near their best. And like that was a combination of rotation and also injury as well. And like then we had carrying injuries through the months long break with Willie Connors and Darren McCarthy, and as Sam O'Farrell has with medical exams. So like it hasn't been the easiest build up, and we could probably see it in probably a lot of aspects of our play last week, where we were just that split second off in our reactions and our first touch and everything. So look, you can't be off it at all against Cork. Like they're just too lively. And I suppose the only redeeming factor is like that we didn't throw in the towel when the match was going against us. We're 9 points down. Like that could have gotten away to 15 or 16, and you'd be really in a bad spot coming into next Sunday. So look, plus as Liam Cahill said, like they were preparing for two matches. They prepared for Cork as well as Waterford, just with the quick turnaround. So like they would have had a lot of groundwork done for Waterford on Sunday.
Yeah, and like I'd imagine a lot of this week has just been about recovery, both physically and probably a little bit mentally coming into this game on Sunday, and maybe just like what can you do in these trainings between a 7-day turnaround, only a quick bit of sharpness, maybe a bit of shooting and that sort of thing. And there's probably not going to be any major overhaul, and we've seen that with the team that was named and the Matchday 26. It's the exact same as what was named last Sunday. I suppose your reaction to the team news and whether you think it's going to be lining out as it is 1 to 15 on Sunday.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that in terms that it's the same 26. Like, it leads me to believe that maybe they weren't fully sure of their team, and this would have been maybe Wednesday night, Thursday morning, when I think a team has to go to the printer, so they probably weren't fully sure of their selection at that stage. They probably know now. I would be expecting changes. I would probably, for definite, I'd be expecting Sam O'Farrell to start. I thought when he came on, I think his value to the team was shown when he came onto the field. Like he just drifts in. He reads the game so well. He's like another version of Noel McGrath in terms of drifting into pockets of space, and like him and Dara Stakelum. I think Dara Stakelum is probably another who staked his claim last weekend, and he probably could do a similar job to Andrew Ormond, who, if they decide maybe Andrews, maybe he was way off his best last weekend. So it'd be interesting to see if there are changes. Like, we're probably anticipating maybe Darren McCarthy comes back in. Will that be for Stephen Tobin, or will that be for maybe a John McGrath or Jason Ford, that they might go with legs for the start and maybe bring in one of John or Jason in the second half when the match is to be won and we need a bit of experience. Because you'd be fully expecting this match to go to the wire. You look at the team Waterford selected, it's a very, very strong team. This is a Waterford team for me that has underachieved the last few years for the level of talent they have in their starting 15 and even on the bench.
Yeah, and they've just one change on that Waterford team from last Sunday's defeat to Clare. Irla Daly comes in at centre-back with Michael Kiley dropping out of the starting 15 and onto the bench. So it is a strong Waterford team, but I'm sure a lot of the preparation during the week for Tipperary will be trying to quell the threat of Stephen Bennett, who scored 3-12 against Clare last week, and just an unbelievable performance. I think when they matched up last year, Stephen Bennett got that goal last year in Semple Stadium after 10 seconds. It looked like Michael Breen, I think, kind of picked him up for large parts of that game. Would you be expecting something similar?
I think so. You're probably looking at maybe Robert Doyle and Desi Hutchinson, and I suppose Michael Kiley is gone now. So Ronan Maher probably on Sean Walsh. So and I suppose they all got to look at each other a couple of weeks ago in the league match too. So there'll be a bit of familiarity there. There's no doubt. 421 was impressive scoring from Waterford point of view, and on one hand you look at Stephen Bennett getting 312 and that the other players maybe didn't shoot the lights out, but that's an anomaly. We know that Desi Hutchinson can be a match winner on his day. There's a lot to like about young Walsh there as well. And then
he's a threat, Shane, isn't he? Very early, long balls in, he is very hard to deal with, just his length and his athleticism as well.
Peter Duggan and Gerard Hegarty, just that kind of, I suppose, tall, and he's athletic, and when he fills out fully, he's really going to be a threat, and he knows how to finish as well, he'll relish the challenge. I was very impressed with him last year in Waterford's campaign, so, and he gave us a bit of trouble in the league match too, so that Waterford, they're not afraid to pepper the square, and they got goals last weekend from balls into the square that broke, and I suppose there is probably a bit of a trend going back there that way too. I suppose where we don't have that type of forward, maybe apart from Gerard O'Connor, maybe, who could maybe go to full forward if needs be, but I don't know, he made the 26 last weekend, so it'd be interesting to see maybe if somebody like him maybe is added to the subs bench on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting around Walsh Park, around kind of 3:15 on Sunday, maybe, when we get word of the team news. Oisin O'Donoghue named at number 5 again, but predominantly played wing forward on last Sunday against Cork, and was one of our few impressive performers on the day, you'd have to say. Was held out of the under-20s on Wednesday evening and is back starting here this Sunday. He's probably a player that is that kind of aerial threat that if you wanted, you could push him forward. He's very versatile, but he's becoming very important for Tip.
Yeah, and just say if the Sam O'Farrell does start, maybe a wing forward, you could be pushing Oisin inside, and he would give you sort of a threat with John McGrath or a Dara or a Jason Ford, whoever gets the selection too. Because and I'd be surprised if they go wing back like the league match against Waterford. I think Liam Cahill explained it to us last week that was kind of it was more or less to get him ready to play in that sort of wing forward role, but more or less acting as a wing back. And look, there's no doubt he worked to a certain extent in terms of some of the turnovers he helped force, but then there was also maybe an element of where Dara Fitzgibbon went to town early on down that side of the field, and maybe just Oisin didn't sit back enough to maybe stop Dara before he got up and running, and he was doing awful damage down that side of the field before Brian O'Mara was able to quell him. So look, he's still 20 years of age. He's so much to develop, but to have a player like that at his age starting in championship hurling, and I suppose his physical prowess as well is a huge I suppose potential going forward when he does fully develop.
Are you expecting an overall kind of reaction from Tipperary after last Sunday, because they'll know themselves that they were under par? They finished the game relatively well to keep it at 4 points, as we've said, but surely they're going to come kind of firing out of the blocks here on Sunday.
Yeah, I like to think so too, and I like to think maybe a lot of this week would have been player led, just in terms of just getting themselves right to maybe just get that element of performance right. And like the body language of Liam Cahill when we spoke to him, you were there with me last Sunday. He was very relaxed, and I suppose everybody says the first match is so important, but it is a 4-game series. It's all about accumulating the points, and there was a chance if Tip played well last weekend, they could still have lost. And you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I think if you offered Liam Cahill 2 points after the first 2 games, I think he would have gladly taken it. And you're thinking if we do get that on Sunday, we have actually more points than we did after 2 games last year. So while it won't be fatal this weekend. You think I wouldn't that the road ahead, trying to beat Clare and trying to beat Limerick, would be tough, but you wouldn't put it against them. Tip showed last year, the longer the year went on, the better they got. And I'd like to think we'll be improved again. We have to be improved again. I think defensively, I'd like to think we won't be conceding 4-21, but I'm not sure whether at the moment we're up to scoring 2-23 like Clare did. So I don't think it'll be as high scoring as maybe the Clare Waterford game last weekend, but I would expect us to be a bit more urgency to play. I wouldn't be surprised if we did an awful lot of ball work this week, just in terms of the sharpness. There's, as you say, very little you could do in terms of training. You could do a lot of stick work off, quick passing and stuff like that. And this was just I thought the crispness of our passing and maybe some loopy hand passes, just things that when we were going well last year just weren't part of our game.
Yeah, there are certainly areas to improve. The Walsh Park factor is always a topic when it comes to these games in the Munster Championship down there. It's the smallest venue of the Munster Senior Hurling Championship round robin venues. 12,000 will be packed in there. Fairly raucous atmosphere. Waterford will be really eager to try and get out of Munster. They haven't finished in the top 3 in Munster since the round robin came in. So they'll be seeing this as a huge chance, and that will lend it to what will be an unbelievable atmosphere down in Walsh Park on Sunday, I'm sure. But Tip they will be ready for that, no doubt, but they need to be aware of that. And I suppose the Waterford crowd, when Austin Gleeson, let's say, is brought on, will rise as well. So atmosphere-wise, this is going to be a difficult occasion for Tipperary.
Indeed, or if he starts, I wouldn't put it beyond Peter Queally to throw him in. And he looked for the 20-25 minutes. He looked against Clare. He looked pretty sharp and he looked trim and fit. And I suppose it's probably these are the 2 games. Tip and Waterford and Cork at home were probably the ones Waterford were targeting. They probably knew they were probably going to be up against Clare, and they really stuck in it. I thought maybe when they went 9 down midway through the second half, the match was going to get away from them, but they fought back, and as I say, one loose hand pass, and they probably were in for maybe a goal chance, maybe to come away with a draw. So, because I said at the start, there's so much talent in that team. It's just that's. But you think a lot of that maybe under 21 team from 10 years ago, they're hitting 30-31 now. They're running out of time now to I wouldn't say maybe on All Ireland, probably a bit in the distance, but getting out of Munster, it'll be a serious atmosphere there. I don't think we'll be outnumbered in any means. It's 12,000, but it won't be. I wouldn't be surprised if at least 5,000-6,000 are Tip, with our season ticket holders being taken into account in our club allocation. There was a lot of sort of uninformed glee, maybe, or not glee, but misinformation about maybe a poor Tip crowd last Sunday. These tickets were split 50-50, and there was a section of maybe the Klein End tickets that weren't sold and went into Cork hands, but I would think with 12,000, I'd be surprised if it's not somewhere close to 50-50. And I think you were there 2 years ago, Paul, when we went down there, backs to the wall, and the real die-hard supporters will be down there, and the noise they made that evening was incredible. 6 days after we got a hockey in off Limerick, so I think there'll be a very, very vociferous and now Tip following there on Sunday. Yeah,
and Liam Cahill often references that game even 2 years ago where Shawnee Kennelly got that late goal and a free from Grode O'Connor rescued it that day when we were 4 down heading into injury time. Finally, Shane, just your final overall thoughts as you're going to be heading down the car to Walsh Park on Sunday. How do you feel? How do you think this game is going to play out?
It's hard to know. like, I think that the players, and if there's anything in terms of the experience and so that we got from winning on All Ireland, should be coming through these type of games for maybe composure, and you use that bit of experience that in the game is in the melting pot with 5 or 10 minutes to go. It'll be Tipperary that will be able to get the crucial scores, maybe to get it over the line. Look, if we're driving back at 6 or 7 o'clock next weekend with a 1 point win and really back in the championship as a whole, like, and having 3 weeks to prepare for Clare and Limerick, like you would have taken that as start of the campaign. Look, but I think it's just Waterford team is too talented. I always think that Waterford, they're going to get out of Munster at some stage, like, and their home record is pretty good against us. Like, we've never won down there in the round robin. It's only 2 games, but there's an interesting stat that Waterford have lost every second round game they've played in Munster. So, like, they have to back up a week after not only losing, although the performance was pretty good, but like the fatigue factor of how we know Stephen Bennett, he has his injury issues with hips and stuff. Like, it's hard to think he'll be as sharp as he was last week if he is. God help us, like. But yeah, look, if we're coming away with a 1 point win on Sunday evening, I think we'd gladly take it.
I think everyone in the county would certainly agree with that. Shane, thanks a million for your time, and sure we'll see you down there on Sunday.
Pleasure.
Shane Brophy, one of the many looking ahead and looking forward very much to that game on Sunday at 4 p.m. in Azori Walsh Park. And a fair warning, the game is not on TV, it is on GA+, but we will bring you all the coverage live here on Tip FM, and that is with thanks to greenwaysolar.ie. Keane Tracy will be joining myself, and we'll do our best to describe and talk you through all the action. 4 p.m. throw-in time on Sunday. Now, if we reflect back on Wednesday evening, the Tipperary under-20 hurlers had a real heartbreaking defeat. 6 points up against Clare in Thurles in approaching injury time, if not in additional time. And Clare scored 2-1 without reply to deny Tipperary direct passage to the Munster final. And after the game, we spoke to Tipperary under-20 hurling manager Brendan Cummins.
Yeah, it was a bit mad the way the game finished, obviously, out there. We seemed to have a lot of control. Sam, I thought, was unbelievably unfortunate to be sent off to get a second yellow card, considering the way the tackles were flying around the pitch and the way the game was let flow, which was fine. But in that moment in time, the decision was made to give him a yellow, which was unfortunate. And then we seemed to be in control of the game. And then the usual thing, a load of high balls come into the square, and it was just in hard luck that a couple of them broke to Clare lads rather than a Tip fella. And I think it was nearly in the 64th minute of 63 when they got the winning point, and we had gotten a puck out away to Sam Hall, but that's another thing. But look, either way, it's over now. We have to dust ourselves down now and get going again.
And the way the game played out, as you said, when you got the red card, Tiernan Ryan got the goal and he pushed out to 6 points, and it looked like it was going to stay like that, but is it just a case of that's how sport plays? Sometimes you get these kind of mad finishes. Yeah,
it does. Like, and to be fair to the group, like we've won 7 games on the bounce now at under 20 level, and today it just went against us. So we're going to lean very much on that now for next week against Limerick, and we have to reset and we have to beat Limerick now, with the hope that based on score difference we might get ourselves a home semi-final then, and that's what the next mission is. We need to park that last minute and a half or 2 minutes, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
If you do park those last 2 minutes, what did you make of the performance for the rest of the 60 minutes out there?
Look, it was excellent. The lads in the second half played really, really well. We moved the ball really well. We were an attacking threat all the time. We got in around the back of them like what we wanted to do. The ball stuck inside. And, so everything was going the way I suppose that we would have expected it to go, considering the quality player that we have. But then it takes on a life of its own, doesn't it? And that's why we all love hurling. Unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of it now, but we'll dust ourselves down quickly now.
And that first half you played with a strong breeze, but lads kind of struggled to come to grips with it maybe the first 20 minutes, and both sides hit an awful lot of wides in that first half, so lads probably kind of found it difficult to adjust out there.
Yeah, they did, and I think both teams realised too kind of what was at stake here tonight, and there was a little bit of nerves around the place as well. We got plenty of shots away. When the ball started to stick inside with Robbie and Cormac and Jamie, then we started to get a bit of a foothold in it. Of course, we got the goal then on the break on him. But either way, it'd have to be, I suppose, outside of that last minute and a half, we'd have to be very happy with the way the team played overall. And again, these things can happen in sport, and it's just how you react to them, I suppose, is what we're going to find out next.
And without Oisin O'Donoghue tonight, the conversations around that, I suppose, with yourself and Liam throughout the week?
Yeah, look, it wasn't throughout the week. I knew a month or 6 weeks ago that we wouldn't have Oisin for this game. The senior hurlers have to win. We developed the players to feed into the senior hurling team, so there was no need even for a conversation. Oisin understands it as well, and hopefully he'll be fine to play now on Sunday below in Welsh Park, and that is the most important game now for Tipperary hurling. And please God, we'll develop more young men that are inside there that'll be ready to play next year, and that's the way the thing goes. No problem.
Just in terms of players out there, I suppose in your own position, Paddy McCormack, a couple of big saves.
Yeah.
Like it could have been a lot closer, but for that, like he really can. And I suppose Clare had their chances before they got them late.
Yeah, they did, I suppose. We'd look at, I suppose, with a more positive light in that Paddy's did his job unbelievably well, and he stepped up really, really strong this year for us, and that's the important thing I see from that. And again, yes, Clare are a good team. Like, they won this. We have to bear in mind where we're at, I suppose, is the important thing. Clare won this competition 3 years ago. We only won the last match in a dead rubber against Waterford, beaten in the first 3 games. Cork had beaten us by 9 or 10 points below in Páirc Eve. I think we only scored 3 points in the first half. So those young men in there are trying to strike a blow for this generation of players, and I think they've done exceptionally well to where we sit now, with a chance of beating Limerick, please God, and maybe then getting a home Munster semi-final against Cork, who again in that particular year were really strong. So we're cutting inroads into every generation of player, and that's our brief, and I think that's what we're doing, and I'm very proud of the way those lads played there tonight.
Like Charlie Ryan probably brought that intensity and work rate there. I suppose it's getting that, I suppose, as they developed, you had 3 weeks off. I suppose that's probably difficult and stuff. You lose a bit of momentum, now you have to try and get it up again.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like the 3 weeks off week, you see, I suppose we planned for these things, and we knew the way the draw was going to be back in January. We know exactly what we were going to try to do in the gap week. Clare had 2 weeks out, so they didn't have a game last week either. But you're right in Charlie Ryan, he gives us great adventure, he gives us great push on up the pitch, and gets us shots away. And I think that's probably the last day in Waterford, which we were thinking that we were lacking a small bit. Tiernan then moving into the half-hour line did really well, especially against the wind, when it wasn't like a tennis match going over and back over his head. He started to come into the play, break the tackle, and do all that kind of stuff that we know he's really good at. But again, like I say, the story of the game really is we played really, really well, and just misfortune in the last minute and a half, and then the extra minute or minute and a half that the referee played gave them the opportunity to score the point, and that's the way sport goes, no problem.
Do you still think there's more within him in terms of, I thought, okay, Robbie Ryan first game, maybe his touch and stuff like that, maybe more ball can stick inside, but like it's still a good position to be in. You have a semi-final at worst.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, it's great, and it's really positive. Again, the lads are really gutted inside in the dressing room to come so close. When they wake up tomorrow and we get going again tomorrow night, they'll see like that there's still huge opportunity in this championship, and we will have to get better, because Limerick for next week, they'll be hurting. They haven't won a game yet in the competition. They'll be hoping at home to put one over on us. They did it to us last year here, and again then if we're fortunate enough to get to the semi-final, then from there, whether it's home or away, we have to be way better again and more consistent and finish it out, and that's what we plan to do.
That was Brendan Cummins speaking to the assembled media in Semple Stadium on Wednesday evening, after the heartbreaking 1-point defeat to Clare there in the Munster Under-20 Hurling Championship. We'll have live commentary of next Wednesday's game here on Tip FM against Limerick, so be sure to tune in for that one. Before we take our first ad break, just a mention for the Tipperary senior Camogie team. They are in Munster semi-final action. They put on a great show in that second half of the second half last week against Cork in FPD Semple Stadium in the Munster quarter-final, with a brilliant win, some big impact off the bench. They now go down to Páirc Uí at 12 noon on Sunday to play Limerick in the Munster semi-final, so we wish them the very best of luck for that one. 12 o'clock on Sunday, tip against Limerick. But we're going to take a quick ad break here on Across the Line, and we'll be looking ahead to the football and much more after these. And you're very welcome back to part 2 of Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 24th of April 2026, and all in association with the Premier Credit Union in Thurles. Now we're going to move to the world of Gaelic football, because at 2 p.m. on Saturday in FBD Semple Stadium, Tipperary take on Cork in the Munster Senior Football semi-final. It's a game that you can hear live here on Tip FM with thanks to John Kennedy Motors, your main Toyota dealers in Clonmel. Anthony Shelly joins me on the line. He's the man who will be joining me on co-commentary for this game tomorrow. And Anthony, as we look at the game, Joe, if you look at the bookmakers, Tipperary 14-1 outsiders here for this game. Cork a massive 1-40 odds on. So Cork massive favourites for this game. But if we reflect back on last weekend and some of the other results around the Provincial Football Championships, Wicklow running Dublin very close, and you also had Westmeath beating Meath, that Tipperary aren't going here to Thurles without any chance.
Yeah, there is a small chance, but realistically, look, I'd say those odds are right. The bookies aren't giving away much there. It's probably why they say you never see a bookie on a bicycle, isn't it? That so I think you nearly have to forget about that and concentrate more on, as you say, getting a performance. Nobody's expecting you to win this game, but get a performance that would put you on a good footing going into the Tailteann Cup later on. I think that starts around the 9th of May, and Tailteann Cup format this year. It's if you got a bit of a look in the draw, it's an open draw. It's different to what it was in the last couple of years. It's an open draw first round, and then the winners of round one play the winners, and winners be winners in round two, and losers be losers in round two. So if you got a nice draw, you could get a run, maybe get to a quarter final, semi final, and that's where a tip would be looking at. But going into this week. It is Cork, and I always think, particularly with Cork footballers, they are capable of beating any team in the country on their day. But they are also equally capable of losing to any team in the country on their day. They are plagued with inconsistency. So I think any chance that we have on Sunday will probably depend a lot on what sort of an attitude Cork come with. You talk about inconsistency. You've seen it the last day against Limerick. They scored against the wind in the first half. They scored 4-10. They were 15 points up at half time. Facing into the wind, you would say that they were going to win this game by 30, 35 points. They only ended up winning by 9. So they can even be inconsistent in the one game. That particular would worry me from a tip point of view, because I'm sure John Cleary will be looking for them to stay at it for 70 minutes, and if they do that, they probably will come out on top, and we'll be just trying to hang on.
Well, looking at the Cork team, the name that jumps off the sheet as I look at it is Stephen Sherlock, just because I saw him play for St. Finbarrs against Commercials, and the kind of exhibition of kicking he put on that day is something that still lives in my mind. So he's obviously one to watch. But who else for Cork are going to have to take pinning tomorrow?
They have a very potent inside forward line named in there. They have Mark Cronin, who's really good player, Chris Jones and Stephen Sherlock, and I think they might have contributed against Limerick. They might have contributed 110 or 111 between them. They're very capable. They have the young lad. They have one change to their team, and Conor Cahalane is coming in, and that's not going to help our cause either, because he's a very direct runner. He's coming in a wing forward. I know we have Kieran Costello will probably demand to pick him, but he's very direct. And once he gets going, the thing that you mentioned on Sherlock there, he is just so hard to mark. He doesn't really get too involved in trying to win primary possession, but he's always buzzing around the forward line. So if somebody gets there or somebody goes in the run, he's always coming off the shoulder. He doesn't take a hop or a solo. He gives an exhibition of shooting anytime he goes out. So yeah, he's definitely one to watch. But I think the whole full forward line of Mark Cronin and Chris Jones, really talented, and we've a very young full back line there, named in Jack O'Neill, Owen O'Connell and Mark Corcoran, and the three boys will probably need a little bit of help. We might have to play a +1 or even a +2 at the back, just to try close up the space in front of those three guys.
Yeah, and just finally, I saw Sean O'Connor speaking to Stephen Barry in the Guardian this week, and he just mentioned that this will be a great barometer to see exactly where they're at, because as we must remember, this is a very young Tipperary team, as you named the full back line there, very, very young players. But this is a nice way to test out and see exactly how far they've progressed in the last kind of 12 to 18 months.
Absolutely. This is kind of a fairway finder of a game, just go out, try put in a performance, and I think if they can keep this under double scores, it will be it would be a really, really positive result. Like, and as I said, there's always, I know it's the hope that kills you at the end of the day, but there is always a bit of a hope that, you know, Cork's inconsistency could come back to haunt them. And so we're not without a chance. It's a very slim chance, but as I said, a performance is what we'd be looking for. It will, as Shawnee said, tell us where we are, and a performance would give us great confidence going into a crack at the Tailteann Cup.
Or a Munster final. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Or a Munster final, yeah. But I don't think we're ready for that yet. You know, I think that might be a project for another year or two down the line. I think Tailteann Cup is probably where we need to be at the moment. But look, if we did end up in a Munster final, you wouldn't be saying no. They're the games you want to play, and you will learn a lot from whatever the result is tomorrow. They'll come away learning a lot from the game.
Yeah, so 2 o'clock throw-in time in FBD Semple Stadium. The game will be live here on Tip FM, and thanks to John Kennedy Motors, your main Toyota dealers in Clonmel, and Anthony will be joining myself on commentary for that one. So until tomorrow, Anthony, we'll see you in Thurles.
Yeah, see you in Thurles, Paul. Thank you.
Now, if we switch our attention away from the Tipperary senior football team towards the Tipperary senior ladies football team, they begin their Munster Championship round robin on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. in Páirc Uí Rinn. They take on Cork. It's a round robin with Tip, Cork, Waterford and Kerry, and the top 2 go to the Munster final, and also the seedings of the championship. So where you finish in the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, determines where you are placed in the draw for the All-Ireland Championship. So it is an important championship, and in the launch for this championship, I caught up with Tipperary Vice-Captain Laura Morrissey. So let's hear my conversation with Tipperary Vice-Captain Laura Morrissey now. So we're here with Laura Morrissey, the Tipperary Ladies Football Vice-Captain at the launch of the Munster Championship. Before we talk championship, might reflect back on the league. As we're talking, you've one round to go, but how have you found the league campaign this year? It's been up and down, but some good results in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think up and down. We started off with a good win against Wexford, and then we had a loss and a draw after that. 2 losses and a draw, but I think the win on Sunday against Donegal kind of has us back in a good swing of things, and hopefully again on Sunday we can do the same. I think even the 2 losses and the draw, we're after learning a lot from them, so hopefully we can bring that on to Championship now. Yeah,
and you've had a lot of change in the panel this year in terms of the rule changes. You've had new management. We'll start maybe with the new management, David Power coming in, a man with huge experience, a huge love for Tipperary football. What has he kind of brought? How has that kind of changed what's going on inside in training?
Yeah, so he's so much experience. He's won Munster final with senior footballers. He's won All-Ireland with the minors, and then he won the Sigerson there with the UL this year. So yeah, he's so much experience coming in. It's great to have someone that has that experience in football. We're all kind of learning the new rules together and stuff. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable. Hopefully now we can push on now for the next couple of weeks in Championship.
And with the new rules that have come in with ladies football now, how have you found them? Has it changed kind of how the game is playing? Like, you're playing in the middle of the field. Kick-outs seem to be very important in the men's game now. I'm sure that's probably similar in the ladies' game with the new rules. But how have you kind of found it? What's changed for you kind of playing?
I'd say the big thing for me is the tackling. It's you're able to. It's a lot more physical. You're able to kind of put in a bit more of a tackle. So that's huge. The tap and go is after changing the game as well. In terms of tactical fouling, it's a thing of the past now. You can just go. And I think for the first couple of games we were kind of slow to react to it. Whereas now I think we're after improving massively. We can go straight away, and it's after really improving our game. So yeah. I think it's a lot more fun to play, and
I'm sure
it's interesting
it's
better to watch, I think, for the sports as well. So yeah.
Yeah, because last year when the new rules come in for Gaelic football and they hadn't come in yet for ladies football, you were suddenly kind of stepping back thinking, oh God, it's in the past now, this kind of style of play with everyone behind the ball.
Yeah.
So it probably is much more freer and a bit more space out in the field now.
Yeah, 100%. I think that ladies football has gone so defensive the last couple of years, so it's nice that you have to get 4 up. You just keep 4 up now in your defence and 3 up in your attack, so it does make a massive difference. And we were kind of talking about how teams are setting up defensively, they don't have as much of an opportunity. There is more space to break them down. So yeah, no, it's very positive for the game, I think. Yeah.
And the squad at the minute, you're without Aisling, of course, this year. Aisling Maloney, who's in Australia, obviously a huge loss, but that kind of opens up space, and David has mentioned in his interviews kind of a lot of new younger players coming in as well around the squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously Aisling and Caitlin Kennedy are 2 massive losses for us this year. But we do have girls coming back that haven't played for a couple of years. They've added strength to the squad. We have girls after moving down to Tipperary, and we have some, like a younger Lily Mars after coming onto the panel. She's only in 6th year, and she has made such an impact for us in the league. So like having the young girls and having the kind of new girls and girls coming back into the panel has been massive.
Yeah, she was with St Anne's and
on Tuesday, final. They were unlucky, but she's just a great girl. And like Laura Cunningham as well, she's after moving from down. She's a great person to add to the panel. Emma Buckley's after coming back from a couple of years from being away. Again, having that experience on the panel is absolutely huge. Massive, yeah. And yourself named vice captain, Anna Rose as captain. How have you found that kind of role in the team? I suppose is something you enjoy, or how have you kind of taken that on board? Yeah, like Anna Rose and I have been playing together since under 14, so we know each other quite well at this stage. But I'm really enjoying it. It's obviously lovely to be asked and to have that role in the team. And Anna Rose is doing a fantastic job as captain, and I'm just there to help her in any way I can, really. And looking ahead now to Championship, like Munster Championship is very important because it sets the seedings for the All Ireland Championship. So, it's in another few weeks' time, it's going to be full on like championship mode. How do you kind of prepare, looking forward to it? No, absolutely looking forward to it. I think like the hard training has been done mostly in pre-season and trying to keep hold of the league. Exactly. Really looking forward to it, and I think like trying to keep everyone like fit and getting girls game time now over the next couple of weeks and things like that would be important. But we're really looking forward to it. We know it will be, Munster Championship is always tough, and then obviously, as you said, that decides the groups for All Ireland. But we're looking forward to getting into it now. And for the All Ireland itself, like last year, you kind of broke through a bit of a glass ceiling and got to a quarter final. There's probably big ambition in the squad now that she can go at least that far again and maybe further. Yeah, I think the last couple of years we've started making like huge improvements. Like we've been getting closer to, like we drew with Kerry last year, things like that. So I think we do have the belief that we can get there, especially after getting to the quarter final last year. So we just need to decide ourselves now. We need to push on. We know what we have to do and put the heads down and get there now. Well, Laura, it's been great talking to you. Wish you the very best luck for the championship. Thank you. And that was my conversation with Tipperary Ladies Football Vice-Captain Laura Morrissey ahead of their Munster Championship opener Saturday evening at 7 p.m. in Páirc Uí Rinn against Cork. So we wish David Power and all the team the very best of luck for that game tomorrow evening. We're going to take a quick ad break here on Across the Line, and we'll be back with rugby, greyhound racing and more after these. And you're very welcome back to the third and final part of Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 24th of April, 2026. Now, to look ahead at what else is happening around the county this weekend, already underway is the TSDL Tipperary Youth Cup final. That's on in Clare Park since 6 o'clock. St Michael's taking on Clonmel Town in that one, but it is a busy weekend of soccer around the county. We've a pair of TSDL Tipperary Cup semi-finals. On Saturday, you've Bancha Celtic hosting Galbally. That's at 6 p.m. on Saturday evening. And then on Sunday, you have the other semi-final. St Michael's making the trip to Thurles to take on Peak Villa. That is at 12 noon on Sunday even. Elsewhere on Saturday, you also have the NTNDL Youth Cup final. That is on at 2:30 in Templemore. Bursacane taking on Holy Cross in that one. And on Sunday, a big game in the NTNDL Premier Division title race, as that one sees BT Harps away to Ballymackey at 11 a.m. BT Harps need to win or draw that game to bring their title hopes down to the last day of the season. So that one is in Ballymackey at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And also on Sunday at the same time at 12 o'clock on Sunday, you have the TSDL Premier League clash of Castletown hosting Two Burris. But in the world of rugby, Munster taking on Ulster in Thomond Park on Saturday evening. You have Brian Gleeson on the bench there from Tipperary and Diarmuid Barnes starting in the front row. And of course on Saturday evening in France, Feathered's Dorothy Wall starts for Ireland in the Women's Six Nations. Ireland taking on France. They're looking for a first win over France in 9 years. So we wish all them the very best of luck. But at Saturday at 2:30 in Ardguia, massive game for Clonmel Rugby Club. They are in the AIL Division 2C final. They take on Donnybrook-based Bective Rangers. And to join me on the line to look ahead to that, delighted to say I'm joined now by Clonmel first team manager Joe Winston. Joe, you're very welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Paul.
Joe, we spoke to you last week ahead of your AIL Division 2C semi-final, which was a great win over Dolphin. Now you have Bective Rangers coming to town from Donnybrook in Dublin down to Ardguia at 2:30 on Saturday. AIL Division 2C final. It's the kind of pinnacle of what you could have achieved this year, and here you are now in the final. I'm sure there's great excitement around the club.
Oh, very much so. Some people say possibly the biggest game in the club's history. Now, last weekend, we tore into Dolphin from the kick-off, kept their crowd quiet, which was unlike the 3 or 4 weeks beforehand in the league game, but easily our best performance of the season. So we need to follow that up tomorrow with the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a Bective Rangers team that, looking at the results this year, you had a narrow win against them in Ardguiha during the league, and they had a narrow win over ye up in Donnybrook earlier in the season. So clearly, just based off those two results and the fact that you're meeting in the Division 2C final, very evenly matched teams, and finals take on a life of their own, as you well know. So this is likely to be a close game tomorrow.
Very much so. I think this game could come down to a bounce of a ball or something like that. So, I mean, I know they weren't happy when they lost to us in our gear. So they'll be well up for it. They'll have noted our result last weekend, and they will be very well prepared for it.
And like this time of the year as well, we're finally getting a bit of nice weather, which I'm sure is a big welcome to all the players who've had to slog through the winter months playing the league regular season games. To have the final, it's going to be nice weather tomorrow. It's going to be at home. It's kind of set up to be a really big occasion tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be an open flowing game because of as you say, the dry weather. The ball will be flashed around a lot. So, as I say, it should be an entertaining game. Could be a battle of their forwards who are very good on the maul and line-outs, and we have to counter that. We have to learn our lessons from the last time we played them. And we have the backs that should be able to spin the ball wide and make ground. So we're hoping for that anyway. As I say, the conditions will be helpful for it.
Yeah, and one thing that is it's something that the lads will be well used to is the kind of week-to-week nature of the AIL and playing back-to-back. But after a semi-final and just 6-7 days to prepare to a final, how has that been? And injury-wise, how are you all set for tomorrow?
We have some lads with a few minor knocks that hopefully they'll be okay for tomorrow. The week we had off before the semi-final benefited us greatly because, as I said last week, we played 6-7 games in a row, and at that level you need a break. So the boys were refreshed last weekend, and as I say, tore into Dolphin from the kick-off. So we have to do the same tomorrow. So
yeah, and
hopefully that'll pan out.
Yeah, please God. And last week and after the game last week, kind of mentioned that the home support made a big difference. I'm sure there's a call to the people of Clonmel to come out once again for the final day of the season and the biggest game, or one of the biggest games in the club's history.
Yeah. Well, I think the crowd last week, and to be fair to Dolphin, they brought a big crowd up as well, but for a club match, it's probably the biggest crowd I've seen up there. And for tomorrow now, we'll have... people want to come up, bring their kids up. We have bouncy castles and slides. There'll be some members of Banner Clonmel up there who helped out last week with their trumpets. Described on One Sports podcast as a French band, but we don't know where they got that from. But it definitely helped. Everybody loved it, And the other thing I must say as well, I must thank Laura Jones in the Talbot Hotel and all her staff. They've been great supporters of the club this year, and hopefully it'll carry on for us.
Well, hopefully you've loads to celebrate come Saturday evening. Joe, again, we wish you the very best of luck, and hopefully there's good news when you're more than likely talking to Ronan Quirk on Monday evening.
Thanks very much, Paul. You brought us luck last weekend, so hopefully the same again.
I won't be taking any of the credit, but thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Paul.
Joe Winston there from Clonmel Rugby Club, looking ahead to that AIL Division 2C final, 2:30 in Ardguiha on Saturday afternoon. We wish them the very best of luck. But now, at this time of a Friday evening on Across the Line, it's time to talk dogs with Barry Drake.
Tip FM's Greyhound News Update with Greyhound Racing Ireland, the ultimate night out for hens and stags. Enjoy racing, dinner and fun-packed packages across the nation.
It promises to be another fantastic weekend of greyhound racing with plenty of top-class racing action all over the country. But before we look ahead to this weekend's action, we have to look back on what was another highly successful night at Limerick Greyhound Stadium last Saturday night, where crowds came from all over the country. A packed Limerick Greyhound Stadium for the feature final, of course, the €80,000 to the winner, Conanany Kirby Memorial Final, sponsored by JP and Noreen McManus and all the McManus family. What a great advertisement for the wonderful sport. with a massive crowd in attendance. The feature final, of course, was won by Bouncing Monarch, who was one of the stars of the competition. Greyhound, of course, turned it into a one-dog event in the feature final, getting the better of Ballymac Setanta by 7 lengths, bouncing out in front and leading all the way there in a sensational track record winning performance, 27.77, of course. The Greyhound in question is trained in Tipperary by Michael O'Donovan for UK owner David Fradgley. Congratulations to Winning Connections, and looking forward to seeing him back in action, hopefully, in Ireland soon. I believe the big targets later on this year could be the Race of Champions down in Tralee, and he will be definitely aimed at the Boyle Sports Irish Greyhound Derby, where he'll be one of the leading fancies for that. So as I said, what a wonderful weekend last weekend, but in particular last Saturday night at Limerick Greyhound Stadium. Switching our attentions to this weekend's action. Big night planned down in Clonmel tonight, of course, 7:30 start. There's going to be plenty of glamorous ladies there tonight, of course, because 24 roses representing various places in Tipperary will be wined and dined at the lovely Clonmel track tonight, of course. And best of luck to Emer Dunn, the local hurlers trainer from Ballingarry there, who will be representing Clonmel Greyhound track, and the best of luck to her. As I said, of course, all the roses are in the Rose of Tralee process selection thing there. So as I said, it's going to be a great night, and as I said, no doubt they'll be all looking absolutely fantastic there. And first race as normal getting underway there at 7:30. It's featuring the semi-finals of the €2,500 to the winner Sorley O'Dornan Memorial A3A4 competition, where Vernon Miss can take the opening semi-final for Jerry Julian, 28.69 on the clock last time out. A reproduction of that would be good enough to record back-to-back winning performances. While in the second semi-final, this is a much more competitive one here, but I'm going to go with trap number 6, Born Sunny, for Killinall trainer Jennifer O'Donnell. So as I said, two terrific semi-finals there, and no doubt all the roses will enjoy a wonderful night there at the Clonmel Greyhound Stadium, where a big crowd is expected. Back to Thurles Greyhound Stadium, their usual Saturday night racing programme getting underway at 7 o'clock. Some good racing action to look forward to, as always, there on Thurles on a Saturday night. In terms of predicting a winner, we're going to race number 8. It's an A4 contest, and Tex Am I Right has been in great form in recent times for Daniel Maher. It's won 2 of its 5 career starts, back-to-back winning performances over the course of the last couple of weeks, and it looks capable of bouncing out in front there and dominating from start to finish. Switching our attentions back to Clonmel, their usual Sunday night racing programme, 11 minutes past 6 there on Sunday night. Looking forward to that. Slaney Side Pro for the Informed Kennel of Derek Keogh was a winner last time. Derek had a great couple of weeks there with plenty of winners all over the country, and this greyhound looks capable of following up and making all the running in race number 3. Elsewhere on the card, sticking with Derek Keogh, of course, Slaney Side Layla is taking a drop in class in race number 5 and should go well. Also keep an eye on trap number 1, Ascot Logan, who's won 34 times for Billy Murphy and Francis Mullen. Of course, that's well drawn next to the fence. And keep an eye on Slaney Side Searle later on in race number 7. Once again, for that man, Derek Keogh looks well drawn along the inside of the track. Finally, in terms of this weekend, switching our attentions to Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, it's the semi-finals of the €15,000 to the winner 2026 Shelbourne Open 600-yard competition. Got off to a tremendous start last Saturday night. Ballymac Chantry was one of the stars in the opening round. That would be hard to beat in the opening semi-final. While in the second semi-final, Grouch's Gregor for Tipperary trainer Pat Buckley delivered a standout run in the opening round as well. One of the performances of the night, from winning in 32.05, and that should be in the mix throughout there, could lead all the way as well. So a lot to look forward to over the course of the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking about the English Greyhound Derby as well, which is upon us once again. So a lot to look forward to in the world of greyhound racing. As I said, an exciting time right now.
And many thanks, as always, to Barry Drake there for giving us a comprehensive rundown on what's happening in the world of greyhound racing, both here in Tipperary and further afield as well. That's just about all we got time for this week's edition of Across the Line. A reminder, I'll be back on the airwaves at 2 o'clock tomorrow for Tipperary against Cork in the Munster Senior Football semi-final. And then on Sunday at 4, we'll be down in Azori Walsh Park for Tipperary against Waterford in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. Busy weekend ahead. Enjoy your Friday evening. For this week's edition of Across the Line, it's bye for now.